Hey y'all, Countryman. Haven't done a video in a while, and I'm trying to do this and read stuff on the screen at the same time. So I'm going to bring this all the way over here. Can't do it. It won't let me, dadgummit. We're just going to have to go about it a different way. Uh, y'all ever heard of the 10 Planks of Communism by Karl Marx? Well, Countryman, why are you uh, wanting to talk about that? He's a communist. He's dead. He's gone. But what they're doing is a generational deal, and I'm killing flies. Uh, and they're just as much alive today as they always was. And it's just plain and simple. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Uh, Look up the 10 Planks of Communism. The first one, there's only 10. It should be a short video. I don't know. I may expound on it. It may go 15. Abomination of abolition of property in land and application of all rents of land to public use. In other words, the communists do not want you to own land. Everything is owned by the state, and you work for the state. They come in, they seize your property, and you work for them. And the second one is a heavy, progressive, and graduated income tax. I'm not saying left wing, right wing, but I am saying it's the same bird. And one of those wings would love to tax the rich more, tax the middle class more, and even tax the low income if they could get away with it. Abolition of all rights of inheritance. They've been, for the past, well, my mom died in '82, and I had to pay inheritance tax in Missouri. Not only do they tax you till you die, they tax you after you're dead. They're trying to get away with that. Some of the good people are trying to get away with it, but the communists want you to pay all rights of inheritance. You can't inherit your land. It automatically goes to the state after that. Number 4 is confiscation of property of all immigrants and rebels. Immigrants, I can understand. If you're not a United States citizen of the Republic of the United States, you should, not own property unless you buy it legally. Rebels, who is that now? Is that anybody that doesn't go along with Karl Marx and his 10 Planks of Communism, which would be, I'm going to say, about 60% of the United States? We would be rebels. I mean, if guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns, and I will be one. Number 5 is centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with the state capital and an exclusive monopoly. In other words, Federal Reserve. They got your money. Now, I know it's called the Federal Reserve, but it's owned by private banks. They sell the paper money to the United States, and we spend it. And we issue bonds back to them, and that's how they make their money off the interest on the bonds. But your dollar is not worth $1 no more. It's down to about 6 cents. If you want to look up the charts, you can. Number 6, centralization of the means of communication and transport in the hands of the state. In other words, drivers, all your trucking is going to be through the government. You take what you got where they want you to take it, and you haul what they want. And the communication, they pretty well got that sewed up now. Can I say MSNBC, CNN, and all the other Clinton news networks? Be truthfully, I don't even listen to Fox News anymore. I get mine elsewhere. If you want to PM me, I will tell you to the two people that I listen to, and you'd be surprised. They're not well-known people. Uh, Number 7, extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state to bring into cultivation of waste lands and improvement of soil generally in accordance with a common plan. Uh, they say that 90% of the state of Nevada and I believe Utah is owned by the government. It's either natural forest or or endangered species land or anything like that. They don't want you. They don't want you to own property, and they want you to stay off of it. They would rather have you be in the big cities where they can take care of you, and with a wall built around it. If you don't do what they say, they cut off the food supply and you starve. Number 8 is equal liability of all to labor, established in industrial armies, especially for agriculture. In other words, they want to take over agriculture and make you go work in the fields and produce, use you as an instrument of production and owned by the state. You're not allowed to own your own property. You're not allowed to plant what you want when you want. You want to lay the land out for a year and go on vacation, you can't do that. They tell you what to plant, when to plant it, and when to harvest it, and the whole bit. Number 8, equal liability of all labor established of industrial army, and especially in agriculture. It's an industrial army, plain and simple. You work for them. Number 9, combination of agriculture with manufacturing industry, gradual abolition of distinction between town and country by a moral, equitable distribution of population over the country. In other words, they want to tell you where to live. You're going to be in a little shanty shack. China has built whole cities that they don't have any people in right now. But, if they want to put you in there and go to work, you work. There's towns in Russia that the whole town works for the munitions factories. And unless you work for the munitions factory, you can't even go into the town. I mean, it's already over there. They want to bring it here. Now, here's the one that I really like. Is number 10. And it's free education for all children in public schools. Now, what is wrong with that? Abolition of children factory labor in its present form. Now, we don't want children working, but it says labor in its present form. Combination of education with industrial production. In other words, if you go in there and work in the factory and work for the government, the communist government, they will educate your kids for you. I mean, what can be wrong with that, man? You got them working. Everybody's got a job. Everybody's getting an education. What quality of education do you have? What rights do you have to quit that job if you want? What rights do you have to say what you want when you want? The First Amendment is freedom of speech, anywhere, anyhow, anytime. Second Amendment backs up the First Amendment. Right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that's not talking about some old redneck with a musket. That is talking about, trust me, if George Washington, fighting the British, had his choice between a musket and an AR-15, which one would he choose? It's what was in use at the time. Not then, now. We've got to stand up for our rights. We've got to join the NRA. We've got to exercise our rights. We've got to go out and shoot and do everything right. stand your ground laws. There was a boy down there in Texas or Florida I just heard about. He took a girl home. He was in an Uber cab. Uh, a drunk guy at the bar thought his girlfriend was in the Uber cab, run the Uber off the road, got out, said, "I've got a gun, I'm going to kill you." Well, the Uber guy just happened to be an off-duty police officer that just graduated from the academy. The guy had a cell phone in his hand. The Uber driver thought it was a gun, and he shot him graveyard dead. And the Uber driver, the only thing that saved his assets was he had it all on film. That he had a camera pointed toward out the front, and it was all caught on film. So, carry your guns. Be responsible. If you got to pull your gun, use jurisprudence and aim straight. But these are the 10 Planks of Communism. And also, this is a little different than the one I've been reading, but it also talks about getting rid of all your monuments. Anything that got to do with Civil War and patriotism and our flags and Pledge of Allegiance and stuff like that. They don't want you to do that. If you forget your past and where you come from, you're doomed to repeat it. It don't matter if it's good past or bad past. The Civil War was bloody. We lost more people in the Civil War than we did in Vietnam. Brother against brother, family against family. And we don't want to go back there and do that again. But we would like to remember it and make sure that we learn from it, our past mistakes. But I'm going to leave a link to this Karl Marx 10 Planks of Communism. To seize power and destroy freedom is what they've all got in mind. See, down here at the bottom it says, important to mention here is Saul Alinsky rules of radicals. Much has been written about President Obama and Hillary Clinton studying using Alinsky's strategies for seizing power without concern for ethics or the harm caused. Read the book on Amazon. Study it. You will better understand the Obama's governing strategy, anticipation, his action. Marx and Alinsky both shared the similar desire to seize power at any cost, hence the listing on the page. It should be of little surprise that Alinsky dedicated rules of radicals to the devil. What they got going is anything but good. We trying to get Kavanaugh into the Supreme Court right now, and they're digging up trash on him that supposedly happened 30 years ago. How low can you go? I seen one tonight. He says, well, the reason that the Senate hasn't had a vote or hadn't had a vote on it yet is because they haven't got the votes to confirm him. Well, I bet they do. If this goes over today's Sunday, the 23rd, if it goes till Friday, which is the 5th, I believe, I'll be very surprised. But he will get confirmed, and from there, in my opinion, all hell's going to break loose. But I doubt if I get very many views on this anyway. But look up the 10 Planks of Communism, and you'll be might get a rude awakening. God bless, countryman. Out for now. If I can do it, anybody can.